Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really fascinating document. It unpacks an ancient story and then makes a, well, pretty bold interpretation about its relevance for modern times.
Yeah, our source for this deep dive is a document called Story of Esther and how it relates to modern-day women.
Okay, and our mission here is pretty straightforward, really. We just want to understand the key points and, the specific lessons this source pulls from the biblical story of Queen Esther and Queen Vashti.
And especially how the author connects that story to today. That's the interesting bit.
Exactly. So let's start with the setup described in the source. It paints a picture of King Ahasuerus holding these massive feasts.
Huge feast, yeah. The source says it was all about showing off his wealth, his kingdom's glory.
And at the same time, Queen Vashti is doing her own thing, hosting a separate feast just for the women.
That's right, so you have these two parallel events. Then, the source notes, on the seventh day of the king's feast, well, he'd been drinking.
Right, feeling merry, as the source puts it. And he sends his officials, his eunuchs, to get Queen Vashti.
And it wasn't just, hey, come join the party. The source is specific. He wanted her brought before him wearing her royal crown.
To display her beauty, basically, for all the people and the princes.
Exactly. And this is the crucial point in the story, according to this document. Queen Vashti refuses. She says no.
Just refuses the command. And the source says this, understandably perhaps, really angered the king.
Made him furious. And his immediate reaction, as the source tells it, was to consult his wise men. Like, what do I do about this disobedience?
Okay, so the story shifts here. It moves from recounting events to the interpretation, the meaning drawn by the source, and it really zooms in on one advisor, Memucan.
Yes, Memucan's counsel is central to the source's analysis. What's striking is his argument. He says Vashti's refusal wasn't just an insult to the king.
Oh, it's bigger than that.
Much bigger, according to Memucan in this text. He argues she wronged all the princes, all the people in the kingdom.
Wow. And why? What was the logic there, according to the source?
Well, the source explains Memucan's fear was that if Vashti's actions became known, other wives would hear about it and start to, quote, despise their husbands.
Ah, so the fear was contagion, that it would lead to widespread disrespect from women towards their husbands.
Exactly. The source mentions fears of excessive disrespect, disobedience, and anger spreading among all the women because of Vashti's example.
So based on that advice, what happens next in the source's telling?
A royal decree goes out, swiftly, throughout the entire kingdom.
And what did it say?
Vashti was basically banished from the king's presence forever. Her royal position, her title, was to be taken away and given to someone else. Someone better than her.
Better than her. And the source explicitly states the purpose of this decree, right? It wasn't just punishing Vashti.
No, the stated aim, according to the document, was to ensure that all wives will honor their husbands, both great and small. He was about setting a precedent.
Okay, so that sets the stage for the specific lessons this document draws, and they seem pretty direct.
Very direct. For women, the source lays it out clearly. A woman is, quote, under the rule of her husband. Refusing even a simple request could cost her everything.
It also describes a woman as the jewel in her husband's crown, suggesting her behavior reflects directly on him, bringing either honor or disgrace.
Right, and it advises women not to embarrass their husbands, to stay respectable at all times. And interestingly, it adds that husbands deserve respect regardless of their own, quote, value.
And then there are lessons for men, too.
Oh, yes. Equally pointed. The source advises men, don't tolerate disrespect from women. Seek wise counsel, like the king did.
And don't hesitate to remove a disrespectful woman and replace her.
Replace her with someone better, yes. And the source defines better. It's not just about looks. It emphasizes her actions and the respect she shows.
So the advice is ignore beauty, choose wisely, and stay strong.
That's the gist of it for men, according to this text. Now, here's where it gets, well, really interesting. The source makes a very direct leap to today.
This is the modern connection.
Yeah. It explicitly claims, and I'm quoting, the women's movement of today is exactly what King Ahasuerus and his wise counsel stomped out many years ago.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's quite a statement. So the source is saying modern feminism, or the women's movement, is the same thing Vashti represented, which was supposedly dealt with back then.
That is precisely the argument laid out in this document. And
Okay.
it doesn't stop there. It then advises men today to use the same lessons.
The lessons from Ahasuerus and Memucan.
Yes. Surround yourself with wise men. Don't be afraid to replace a disrespectful woman. Prioritize respect over beauty. The source presents these as tools to, quote, stop this movement of women happening now.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how this one particular source connects these dots across millennia, presenting an ancient story as a direct blueprint for handling contemporary social issues around gender.
It really is. And again, just to be absolutely clear for everyone listening, we're reporting on this source's unique perspective and claims here. We're not endorsing them, just exploring the interpretation presented.
Right. Our aim is just to unpack what this document says.
So wrapping it up, what this specific source essentially argues is that the story of Vashti offers timeless, clear guidance on gender roles, on female respect towards husbands, and provides a model for responding to what it sees as female disobedience.
A model the source believes is directly applicable and even necessary today to counter modern social movements concerning women.
We've done this deep dive specifically to understand this document's viewpoint, the particular lessons it extracts.
And that really leaves you, the listener, with a significant question to mull over. How do ancient texts like this one and the many often conflicting interpretations placed upon them continue to influence our modern conversations, our beliefs, and maybe even the structures of our relationships in society today?